G'day everyone, welcome to On The Wire. I'm Warren Davies, the Unbreakable Farmer, and I'm lucky enough today to have Trav Bell, the bucket list guy, with me. Welcome Trav, thanks for joining me today.
Mate, I am super pumped. Thanks so much for having me on The Wire. I am super pumped to talk to you, buddy.
Oh, beautiful, thank you. I really appreciate your time. So we'll jump straight into it, mate. I just probably, if we can start your story from before the bucket list guy, I suppose, and what got you to where you are today. What led to the bucket list guy? Where did you start? Just a brief overview of your background, I suppose, mate.
Well, now I am a speaker. So you give a speaker any amount of time and they will fill it. So I'll give you, do you want the short, medium or long version?
Better go for the short, mate.
Okay, let's go for the short. All right, cool.
We've got time limits on us.
Yeah, okay, let's get into it. Hey, look, yeah, great. I'm stoked to be here, mate. As I said, haven't always been the bucket list guy. Prior to being the bucket list guy, I started a business in personal training back when I was about 20, 21 years old. I was one of the first personal trainers running around Australia, and I built I started that business coming in my third year uni, and then from third year uni, I was making more money than because I was going to be a phys ed teacher, because I've been a jock my whole life, growing up down here in Ocean Grove on the coast, surf lifesaving and that sort of thing. It was a natural progression. Shit at footy. No,
but you did jump on the bandwagon of the Bulldogs at the end of last year. I know that, mate.
Oh, no. Let's clarify. No, there was no jumping on the bandwagon. You know, that corporate box had, it was a big bucket list tick. And yes, I did go to and buy a scarf and a jumper the day before. So you could clarify that as jumping on the bandwagon, I guess. But I was always surf lifesaving and that sort of thing, swimming. And that led me into doing a phys ed degree. That led into doing personal training as a career. When a mentor of mine, who is now a good friend of mine now, he was doing this thing called personal training back in the day in the 90s, and this is pre-crackbook, pre-internet, and all that sort of thing. And I was just fascinated with what he did. So I started this thing called personal training, literally in third year uni. And by the end of it, I was making more money than any teacher, any phys ed teacher that I knew of, and any lecturer that I known of. And I'm like, all right, well, let's do that. And grew that business to a chain of 21 personal training studios. And, started with one client, ended up with 21 studios, 300 odd personal trainers running around Australia, and helping, more importantly, tens of thousands of clients across Australia, and doing close to 2 million personal training sessions around Australia. And I love, why I got into that was I love just helping people. I was really fascinated with the psychology side of it, though, rather than the diet and the, latest exercise techniques. Really fascinated with the psychology. So long story short, as I said, was I built it into a bit of a monster. I became too much of a kind of a lawyer and an accountant. I was sitting behind the desk a little bit too much, and there was some blues going on, some legal blues. Being a franchisor is an interesting business model, and it just did me head into the point where I went through a bout of depression, and it was like, and I know that we share this, and it was at that dark time that I really started searching within, what do I truly want to do? I can persist and still build this thing, or change. So I decided to change for the better. Basically, got rid, closed down, move on, sold off that business to do what I do now. And I was in seminar. I went really deep, and I went into a heap of seminars, and I read books and got into positive psychology and NLP and life coaching and this sort of thing. Took all that information, put on a talk, and at the end of the talk, and it was a shit talk, mate. And I've helped you with speaking, and if you guys could have been in the room during that talk, and funnily enough, it was at the Western Bulldogs room. So I'm not a jump on the bandwagon guy. I was at their new place out there in the west in Footscray, and I had like about 40 people in the room. I nearly had to pay them to be there, and I just unleashed all the shit that I knew about NLP, and I had business owners, non-business owners in the room, mum and dad, the little champions at the back. And I shared with them, all the stuff that I knew. And I shared with them, the fact that I had a list to do before I die, a one since I was 18. Not that many people knew that about me. And I asked the room, who else has got one of these lists, to do before you die? And it was like, hands down, there was donuts, and no one had one. And I said, well, what the hell do you want to do? Why do you get up in the morning? And I'm like, it's just silence. I said, what do you want to do? And the room came alive. And at the end of it, one of our personal training clients at the time, or old personal training clients at the time, Jo, she said, how's all this list to do before you die stuff? It's got people really fired up. And it's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy. And then I went home that night and registered the domain because the light went off. And then I went, all right, how the hell am I going to monetize this? And that's I'm very, very passionate about doing all the things and really helping people do all the things you want to do before you die. But who the hell is going to pay someone to write a freaking list? So that led on to helping other speakers with their message. That through a mentoring program, went on to doing keynote talk, and more importantly, keynote talks. More importantly, how does this bucket list message relate to a corporate outcome? Because that's really important. You can't just be a great story. It's got to relate and have impact on the bottom line. So it was an engagement message, a life engagement message, and doing some coaching, and now also opening up a company over in Nevada and doing a bucket list life plan training program that other people can buy a license to and then get out there and help other people. So it's a way of duplicating what I do at a really deeper level. There is the short answer. Done.
That last point, that's massive. I've known you for a couple of years now, and to watch, like, even yourself, how you've grown and where you were when I first met you to where you are now that's amazing. Like, it's amazing to think that you've got that thing happening in the States. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, our mission with that is I got business partners over in the States, and I went into their offices in Nevada, and they've said to me, Trav, what's your big mission? What is your bucket list in terms of helping people? Give us a number. And I said, 1 million people. And they pretty much laughed me out of the offices, and they said, mate, add a zero. And I went, and now, mate, our mission and vision for that new company, that new entity, is to help people create purposely happy lives. That's our vision. Our mission is to help 10 million bucket listers create purposely happy lives.
Yeah.
So we're not playing small, mate.
No, awesome. So I suppose if there's the people that are listening or watching this today, when you say create a bucket list and they don't know where to start, how do you start? Like, obviously everyone's got dreams, everyone's got ambitions, but you get stuck in that norm of everyday life, and those lists get put to the back burner, I suppose. So where do you start, and how do you go about creating a bucket list?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we're so busy, like you said, we're so busy on a to-do list that we very rarely get the time to pay attention to our bucket list. So we've got to really separate the two. We've got to create time in our week to think about what we want in life, because like the movie, unfortunately, and it's a pretty shitty movie in the fact that it took two blokes to get a cancer diagnosis in the movie, and then they wrote a bucket list. Now, we're all intelligent human beings, but I hate to say, most people wait until they get it given a use-by date. They get a slap across the face in terms of a diagnosis, and then they wake up and then they go and write a bucket list. That's just dumb, isn't it? But human beings are human beings. So it's about, number one is making it a priority. You got to just carve out time where you maybe have an accountability partner, I call a bucket list buddy, or maybe even your family unit, that you carve out some time to actually think about your bucket lists. That's actually what we've created, and that's our first thought. when we created this bucket list life plan, is actually getting people out of their lives to work on their lives for a period of time during the week, just 1 hour a week, less than 1% of your week. And that's what it's all about. Now, how do you write a bucket list? Well, I've got a 12-step My Bucket List Blueprint. It's an acronym. The My Bucket List Blueprint is what I've done a TED talk around, and what's made up a lot of this program. And that's a how do you write a personally meaningful and holistic bucket list, and it helps people extract and then articulate that bucket list that really helps them get out of bed in the morning. And for me, it includes things like travel adventures, the skills that you want to learn, the challenges that you want to do, the people that you want to meet, the kind acts for others that you want to do before you kick the bucket, the kind of things you want to be proud of before you kick the bucket, the legacies that you want to leave, etc., etc. And, for me, I speak to a lot of entrepreneur groups. I don't know who this is going to, or even a lot of employees. And, and I'm always saying that, what we do as a job or as a business, it's designed to do two things. Our job or our business is designed to spit out the time flow and cash flow for us to then do our bucket list. Double bonus, if you actually love what you do and you're getting up out of bed in the morning and your job or your business is hitting your personal values and you're really congruent with it, then sweet, it's not going to do your head in. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, they're very disengaged in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And that makes me really sad. That leads to depression. That leads to, people just sleepwalking through their lives, and or what I call sheeple.
Yeah.
Sometimes the title of my keynote is "People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80."
Yeah, and I know being at a couple of your talks, like it's very, very impactful, and especially that I know when you ask the audience to hold their hands up who knows someone that's died of cancer or had that used by date stamped on them, and then that's a very impactful kind of to see that in the room. I suppose you've said how to write the bucket list, and I suppose that's easy. Everyone can sit down and write a list of all the things that they want to do.
Yeah.
I suppose fear holds people back.
Does it?
Well, I'll talk from personal experience. And fear holds people back, like the fear of, I'll say that I'm going to go wherever.
Yeah.
Climb Mount Kilimanjaro like you have.
Yeah.
But the fear factor of what if I don't achieve that goal?
Yeah, I think.
I suppose what I'm saying, then people play small, then not big. They go for 1,000 to impact 1,000 people, and not 10 million.
Look, we're gonna walk before we run with everything. I wouldn't suggest to anyone that they go and put Kilimanjaro and Mount Everest Base Camp and all these things that take a lot of resources. They take a lot of time and they take a lot of money, and these are the two things that hold people back. It's probably not the wanting to do it. I mean, most people would be able to do it with the right training and these sorts of things if you're looking at these. But it's also about ticking off the small ones first, and it's actually what we're in the attention arbitrage business, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say. It's what we're paying attention to which really counts. So on the weekend, what are you doing this weekend? I question, what are you doing this weekend? Are you choosing happiness? Are you choosing the things that light you up? Or are you doing the things that you have to, must do, or should do according to someone else, or these self-imposed bullshit plans that you've set for yourself? Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't choosing the things that they really want to do. What if you did? Just change it up. And if we're talking about travel, be a tourist in your own town first. Like, go out and do stuff, the smaller things that are achievable. And it's when you start crossing off those smaller things that are achievable, it gives you momentum and motivation to smash through the bigger ones. Have you walked the Sydney Harbour Bridge?
Yes.
A lot of people haven't. It's fantastic. Yeah. What else could you do in Australia? What else could you do in Victoria? Because we're speaking in Victoria. These are the things. It's more of the attitude, mate, rather than the doing of it. It's the attitude that you're choosing in that moment. Like stuff it. I was going to say another word, but stuff it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something on my bucket list this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, mate, here's the thing. You got to act as if. When you want to do something really badly, you'll find a way. And I always say, one of my catch cries is, look, you know, I stole it from about 1 billion other people, actually. When the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out. It's actually not a matter of resources. It's a matter of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want something bad enough, you know, you'll find a way. We all have.
And I suppose, and to use one of your other sayings, is just getting off that treadmill and making something happen, whether it's big or small. You got to. And, but actually going through the process of actually writing it down is part of the process, rather than you're right now, your bucket list for a large majority of people, your bucket list is up there swimming around with your to-do list. And guess which one gets done first? Yeah. So what we've got to do is actually write it down on a piece of paper. Now, I've got a process and a system for how we do that. But at the end of the day, just put it on a piece of paper and then prove to yourself that you can go and do something. Mm-hmm. And see, I say that on the other side of your bucket list is a you that you don't even know yet. So go surprise yourself and get really curious and excited about the person that exists on the other side of the tick or on the other side of the cross. Because that's our potential. When we see our potential, mate, that's when we put a smile on our face. That's when we experience happiness, which is the basis. The science of happiness, positive psychology, is really the basis for what we've created with the bucket list life plan and everything else that I speak about. Yeah, yeah. So, so once you've got that bucket list, I suppose you've done that. What are the things that you've ticked off your bucket list, and which I know there's some big ones, but what else have you got planned? And not just business, but as personal things that you want to tick off as well. Like, business is still a vehicle, mate. Like here's the thing: my business and what I do, I love what I do, and you know that. Yeah. And my business is me. But at the end of the day, you know, it's still a business that's designed to produce cash for me to go and do the things that I want to do. One of the things that I am doing that I don't know why I did a video blog about this morning is I've signed up to do the last week of the Tour de France this year. Yep. Now I'm not wafer thin. I've got a couple of muscles here. You know, I'm heavy. I'm pretty heavy, and I'm going with 10 other blokes. And we are doing the last week of the Tour de France up and down the hills. Our second day is the Alpe d'Huez, which is 21 hairpin turns up a freaking ski field for 15 Ks. So it's either going to be a great holiday because of all the views, and it's going to be a great workout and stuff like that, or a freaking nightmare. Yeah. Because trying to take this body up 15 Ks of hairpin turns is not going to be pretty. But anyway, the shit you sign up for. Right. And last year, like I said, I did the Mount Kilimanjaro. That nearly killed me. I've done an Ironman. That nearly killed me. I don't know. As a bucket list guy, no one even dared me to do it. I just sign up to this stuff because, you know, I'm just really, really curious about where else. And I want to be, my mission is to be the best version of myself while I can. Yep. And so why not? You know, why not? And it gives me a good reason to get up out of bed in the morning and train for this sort of stuff. But some of the things that I have done, you know, there's a bunch of. I'm also doing a stand-up comedy gig this year. Yeah. Publishing a book this year. May even be going to Burning Man again this year, which is just that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, we need to make another half an hour slot to talk about that. Mate, probably 3 days. What have I done? Geez, I've met Sir Richard Branson. He was on my bucket list. I've had lunch with Tim Ferriss. He was on my bucket list. Did the Burning Man festival. Look, I've spent time at a HIV orphanage over there in Cambodia helping out. I've raised money for different charities, and the list is what else have I done? I backpack around. I'm just thinking. I've just right here. I've got a big
on my wall, I've got a big map of the world, and I'm just thinking, last year I went down to Kruger National Park with my parents, and did a safari. That was just unbelievable. Been to a bunch of countries, surfed all around the world. One particular place is Cloudbreak in Fiji. Bloody hell, what else? Did a big hike with Dad, the South Coast Track. That was unbelievable. Been around India. What else am I doing? Mate, that'll do. I went to Eurovision.
Yeah.
That was on the bucket list. I think I was the only straight guy there. Went with my wife at the time. What else? Oh, there's heaps. Yeah.
And I suppose that just proves that you can fit a lot into your life if you set a plan and go after it.
Yeah, mate. I mean, even buying this property here, you know, that where I am now in Ocean Grove was actually on my bucket list. I mean, I always wanted a beach house, and this is certainly a beach house, more of it like a surfer's shack. And you know, I on my bucket list is to turn this. I'll bulldoze it in the next year, 2 years, and I want to make a fully green house. You know, like I'm waiting for Elon Musk to get his products over here and just fully go off the grid with it. Pay no bills for energy or anything like that, and I'm looking at getting a Tesla as well. Yeah. So you know, run the whole house on battery and through, you know, so I'm not you know, causing any harm to the environment. So you know, that's a big one for me, and you know, so the list goes on. I document all this obviously on my website.
Yeah. So I'll put a link underneath this or on this video when I post it that'll have your website and all that sort of stuff on it. Couple of last final questions. What, for that little young surfer kid from Ocean Grove, what advice would you give a young Travis Bell now, from now to then? What advice would you give him that you weren't given then? Because I'm sure that you were given lots of advice back then.
No, I wasn't. That's the problem. I'll
put it this way: a lot of direction from other people, and you probably didn't listen.
No, I didn't listen at all. I still don't listen. I would have look. You know, So what jumped to mind immediately was take off on bigger waves and pull in.
Yeah.
Is actually, you know, from my surfing, I wish I was a little bit more hardcore than I am now.
Yeah.
So that's it. I wish I didn't party so much. I honestly wish I didn't party so much, and that didn't help me. Well, you know, I got by, won a few state titles and that sort of thing, but probably could have gone further. Everything happens for a reason, though. I think I've concentrated on that a little bit too much. Secondly, I wouldn't have wasted so much money in the early days, and I would have bought property as soon as I could possibly get my hands on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, every adult, and I'm 40 something now, and you know, I wish I bought property and really saw the merit, you know, the benefit of buying property early. So my dad really didn't teach me that early on. So that would have been good advice to get earlier on. Anyway, got some now. It's all good.
Yep. No, that's good. And so going through your story, it all hasn't been smooth sailing. Like, as you said, that you got to the end of the fitness business and you were probably not in a good spot. And on the wire,
yep.
It's all about persistence, determination, resilience, and how to negotiate change in your life. If I ask you, what's your definition of resilience? What do you call? You know, I suppose you're the Trav Bell dictionary version of resilience. Yeah. What is it,
mate? It's staying staying in your lane, staying on your path, be very, very clear on where you're going, and know that you're going to cop punches to the face, and know that you just got to keep getting up. I mean, that's a well-worn thing that you hear, but I've been punched in the face a bunch of times, by the tax office, by other people, in business, by myself, beating myself up, and punched in the face in terms of my headspace. But I'm very, very clear on who I want to help and at what level I want to help people and how many people I want to help. And that's why I speak now, because I can coach one to many.
Yeah.
Versus the one-on-one world that I spent 20 years in.
Yeah.
And that was kind of frustrating when, helping others is one of my top values along with my health. And if I'm not out there helping people at a big, big level, I don't feel I'm contributing. So, when you get a few tears, when you get a few people coming up after your sessions or even on social media going, you really changed my life. That made it, that's a drug.
Yeah.
That you just want more of. It's a great drug to get in you. And then when you get that flooding in more and more and more, you just can't help but get out of bed in the morning and want to serve, shitloads of people.
No, that's awesome, mate. Awesome.
So that's a long term, that's resilience for me, is holding true to that vision and staying north on that.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Well, look, I really appreciate you joining me today. And as I said, I'll whack some links into the post with your website and all that sort of stuff. And even to your bucket list plan still on your website that people can download and have a look at that.
Yeah. Stuff all there.
The blueprint. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been awesome. Mate, I appreciate your time, and we'll catch up soon.
Excellent, mate. Cheers.
Right, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
See ya.